Just buttoning up here. So I watched the Hake Report, and I watch it quite often. And I just wanted to go into a conversation that Hake had with Donning Armour. And Donning Armour, I guess he admitted that, he lives at home with his parents. And I know JLP is kind of against that. And JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson, was thrown out of his home early on, and he was able to buy a house. I want to say a quick hello to Darren. How are you, Darren? So yeah, he was able to buy a home. Like I think he said at 25 years of age, Jesse Lee Peterson was able to buy, or he didn't have any money, but he went to a bank and said that he needed to buy a home, and that's just what he did. Well, and I don't know where he bought a home, but anywhere in West Los Angeles or South Los Angeles, easier said than done, my friend. Things are far more expensive. When Jesse Lee Peterson bought a home, I'm assuming homes went for $40, $50, maybe $60,000. My parents made a combined income of $30,000, could buy a home for $56,000. Not today, man. Now, you could leave the state and you have a much better shot at buying a piece of property. But I think family and family wealth and family power is important. I think Donning Armour was incorrect about money, but he is right about the family and the family sticking together. Families should strive to increase the betterment, economic betterment of their offspring. Parents should always strive to seek the better economic betterment of their children. The more money you have, the more power you have. Any situation you're in is always better with money. Nations that go to war, the nation that's usually wealthier is going to win that war. So sometimes right now we are in an economic Cold War. And I must say, I agree with both Jesse. I agree with some points of both Jesse Lee Peterson and Donning Armour. And I've watched a little bit of Donning Armour's show. And again, there are improvements there. And he's talked about them. I'm not going to go into them on that. But I just wanted to say that I don't think there should be a shame at living at home at a certain age. And I disagree. Money is an ego trap. Now, Darren just said money is an ego trap. Nations with money also can get off track, and that's true. But I think there is importance for finances and money. But Hake said, sometimes when you struggle, you really build your character. And I remember when I worked at a furniture company and building things and cleaning up things and working, 10, 12-hour days. And I, for those moments I did it, I really built character. There were times when I worked field maintenance jobs, and I'd be up at 6 in the morning to deal with a flooding field, and man, it builds your character. And I'll say this: there were times I worked with newly arrived immigrants. I don't know if they were legal or illegal, but at first they worked donuts around me. And then I said to myself, man, you just carry on. My grandfather said I would carry on till I dropped. And you look at your two hands. You know, my grandparents were the type of grandparents who would eat dirt before they accepted any form of government assistance. And I'm not saying that we should be that strong, but come on, man. I mean, and I'm saying this for myself. Come on, man. What can you do? How hard can you work? You don't have to give in all the time, but the generations that came before us, the generations that came in on ships from Europe and eked out a nation, and then their offspring had to, just try to make it with farms and within the industry. And I look at the roads and the skyscrapers that were built, and it's like, how much did I produce? How hard did I work? And I think a lot of people, man, and this includes myself, you can do more. You can work harder. And Darren says scarcity is abundance. Well, you should need less. I just went on a 2-day fast. And I just ate around 5 o'clock today. And I'm still trying. This year, I'm going to really try to defeat my diabetes and my high blood pressure. And I'm going to strive to get better. But everybody should strive to get better no matter their living condition. And I don't suggest people just go out into the street and live in the street. I think in America today, poverty is like it's worse than death. There are I remember reading a thing on African immigrants, and they saw the homeless here, and they said being homeless in America is worse than death. It's really a lonely existence. And I used to believe when I was younger, you don't need anybody, and I don't believe that to be true. I think human beings are what makes it worthwhile. I mean, why do any? If there weren't anybody on the planet Earth, would life be worth living? If there were no women on the planet, would life really be worth living? Now, right now, I'm femaleness. I don't have any females, and I'm not really trying. I'm not looking. I don't really care at this point. Now, I'm going to read Darren's little saying here. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I don't know how I feel about that, Darren. I have to ponder that. But I did something on anger. And the one thing I like about Hake is he does say point blank that angry people cannot be trusted. And angry and arrogant people and egocentric people cannot be trusted. And I feed my own ego too often. And I think that it was, like I said, and I'll get back to the show. I found that the show again to be interesting. And human beings do have their faults. And that includes myself. I have an ego. I try not to because it's also perhaps a little point of insecurity as well, you know. But it is what it is. And there's a point of me that thinks I know the truth about certain things, and I do believe I do. But oftentimes the manner in which I go about it is ineffective, and therefore it's wrong. If I end up, I could be in the right cause, but if I go about it the wrong way and just flush myself out, that's not good. I've worked for people, and I realized that I thought that my supervisor wasn't doing things intelligently or smart, but I kept my mouth shut because for me to open up my mouth, and I saw someone else, really tried to ride this person, and what ended up happening is that person ended up out of a job, and I ended up keeping mine. So it's good to have temperance and uh, and be just a hard worker and not say, well, keep your head down, but keep your head forward and look at things the way they are, not the way you want them to be. And that goes for me. I had to look at things the way they are, not the way I want them to be. And there are a lot of people that do not share your reality in situations. They believe in critical race theory, particularly here. Both Hake and Donning Armour are both in California. They are a very leftist place. I'm in California. It's a very leftist place. My father worked in Hollywood, and it was a leftist place then. I remember my father telling me he was at an Actors Guild meeting, and this was in 1980, and they were saying how that East Germany was not that bad of a place. This 1980 was when they still had the wall, the Berlin Wall, and now, of course, we don't even recognize it. They have this guy Jared Holt who is in Right Wing Watch, and he basically, conservative groups like the Proud Boys. And the Proud Boys, do their best. You always have crackpots in every group, but they do their best to kind of expel them and make them reform people. And Jared Holt just exposes them, and it's a very unforgiving kind of thing. And I was looking at Jared Holt, giving an interview, and he was talking about the Proud Boys, and he was behind Antifa, and Antifa had they had communist flags, the hammer and the sickle, right behind him, and there were no Nazi flags with the Proud Boys, or even Confederate flags with the Proud Boys, or with Patriot Prayer. At least very few that I saw. There may be a few, but they don't endorse that. And he's right behind communist flags. And they just ignore it, or they say that's not the thing. They try to gaslight you in a very forceful manner. And gaslighting and hypocrisy are things that abusers do, and leftists do them best. And I think that Hake is extremely good at promoting our culture war in this country. And I think Donning Armour is on the right path to fighting this cultural war. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll go in a different direction. I don't want to say I'm white power or pro-white. I'm not. I believe that leftism promotes hatred for whites and people of European descent, and we are defamed. Not only here in America, but it seems like here in other countries as well. In Germany, a lot of foreigners who commit crimes and are very dishonorable. And in England, you had the whole Rotherham rape gangs. I mentioned that on my city website because there was an English person, and she was complaining about the Proud Boys. And I just mentioned to her about the grooming gangs, and then I got filleted on there for mentioning, and called a racist for mentioning the something or other that should these Muslim grooming gangs lose or be expelled from England, and how long would they last in Japan? Could they even get away? Is there any welfare in Japan for refugees? I guess they claim that it's because of colonialism is why there needs to be these refugees, and why the English people need to accept them because of the things that their elites did in their countries. So they have to accept their criminal behavior, and they're changing, and they don't have to show any kind of gratitude. And if you mentioned any difficulties, they will automatically call you a racist. I mean, I have more theories than that. I mean, I do believe that human beings travel for a better way of life, whether it be economic, well, mostly economic, because you want to be able to feed yourself. So people will travel cross border and cross this and cross that to get to a better way of life. And that's just by nature. I don't blame them for that. I do blame people for allowing that many people in, and the not questioning, is this better for the inhabitants? Maybe it is, but we can't even question it today. And that's what I'm saying. Anyway, I think I've said too much, and hopefully something is gained out of this. But this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and visit our website at transparencyandmerit.com. Dennis, thank you so much. I mean, Darren, I call you Dennis. Please forgive. Darren, thank you so much for listening. You've been one of my bigger fans. And strive to Yeah, strive to be stoic and not let your anger get the better of you, and you know uh, try to avoid conflict whenever you can. Sometimes you have to, but I'll get into that later, like how uh, self-defense and this. I'm a big fan of John Wayne, but the John Wayne stand your ground method is not always the most intelligent. Anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, and visit our website at transparencyandmerit.com.